Ba-da-bum, 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 ba-ba, ba-ba.
100 years of great players. 100 years of great plays. 100 years of bullshit calls. 100 years of beer and truck commercials. 100 years of Super Bowls. Well, maybe they haven't gotten 100 of those yet, but in any event, the NFL kicks off its 100th season on Thursday, and we're all excited, of course. Football is back. Your fantasy teams are back. All the nonsense and the horseshit coming at you for the next 5 months as we head toward another interesting football season. But the NFL kick it off right with the Thursday night game, so let's just get right to it. The Bears and the Packers, and you know what, we need to change up. I'm getting tired of the home team opening up the season bullshit on Thursday night. I've had it with that. So NFL did the right thing here with the 100th season, with the two oldest teams still in existence. Again, the Packers, they're going to be in contention because they have Aaron Rodgers. They got some good players on offense. The Bears, I don't think the Bears are going to... I think they're going to take a step back this year. They didn't really add anybody in free agency. I know they drafted their rookie guy, whatever. But, it's tough. They needed to win a playoff game last year. And they didn't. And the way they lost a game, when a team loses a young team, an up-and-coming team like the Bears were last year, when they lose a playoff game like they did last year with the kick, bouncing off the upright 15 times or whatever, it's hard to bounce back from that. And I don't see the Bears bouncing back from it this year. I think they take a step back. And listen, Aaron Rodgers, you still don't bet against him, at home in prime time. It's just it's silly. He's still too good for that. So I'm going to take the Packers on Thursday night to kick off the NFL's 100th season. Let's move over to the Sunday games, the early games. You get Tennessee at Cleveland. Cleveland finally looking like they have a team that can do something for the first time, really since the 80s. They got a lot of skill players on offense, a lot of great fantasy guys. Defense is supposed to be decent. Getting a Tennessee team coming in that's, you're looking at a Mariota Tannehill sandwich at QB. Now, Derrick Henry's a beast, but we'll see if they can rely on that. I mean, Cleveland's going to win the game. There's just too much talent there, I think, and I just don't think the Titans have enough. And we'll see what happens with Cleveland. We'll see if they live up to the hype. With Week 1, I think they'll get the win there. Baltimore's at Miami. I don't know what to do with Miami. I mean, they're not another team where, who cares who's playing quarterback at this point because, they just don't have enough skill players on offense. They got two guys at running backs that trick people into drafting them in fantasy, but I don't see Kenyon Drake or Balaj doing a whole lot. I don't know who's receiving on this team. Baltimore should be a little bit better. Lamar Jackson, I think, takes next step in the right direction here. They got a nice ground game, okay defense, I suppose. And Baltimore win the game. And then we got Atlanta and Minnesota. Again, two teams I can't figure out here. I mean, this should be a high-scoring game. A lot of skill players on both teams on offense. Kind of a toss-up, though, because I really don't trust either one of these quarterbacks. I mean, Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins, you kind of know what you're getting out of them. Some weeks they're spectacular. Some weeks they're just, they're just showing up. This is a tough game. I'll take the Vikings at home, but I'm not really confident in that pick. But Atlanta. I know we're now 3 years removed from blowing a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl, but it's going to be a long time before I ever trust Atlanta again. Not that I ever trusted them to begin with, but I'll take the Vikings in this game. Buffalo at the Jets. Um, here's a chance for one of these teams to get off to a good start in what will ultimately be an 8-8 second place finish. Again, needing a telescope to see New England in front of them. But both these teams should, give their fans some excitement this year. Buffalo's a good young team. They got Josh Allen. I like where he's headed. His second year. The Jets obviously will be better with Le'Veon Bell. Sam Darnold's got a lot of potential there. We'll see. Listen, if you think Le'Veon Bell is going to come out here and do the shit he did with the Steelers, you kidding yourself. First of all, guy hasn't played football in over a year. And listen, part of the reason why Le'Veon Bell is because they had Antonio Brown on the outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Jets have Robbie Anderson. Not against Robbie Anderson. He's not scaring anybody. And you still have the stink of the Jets on you. So I don't. Bell will be okay, but you people taking Le'Veon Bell in the top 10, first round of your fantasy drafts, you're out of your mind because you're not getting that production out of Le'Veon Bell. But as far as this game goes, I'm going to take the Bills in an upset here. I think the Bills might surprise some people. Again, you're battling for maybe 8-8. Finishing second, way behind New England. But for a young team like Buffalo, it's a step in the right direction. I'll take the Bills in this game. You got Washington, Philadelphia. The Redskins. We'll see if the rookie guy. Well, he's not a rookie. He played last year. He tore his ACL. But Derek Geis, I think that's how you pronounce the name. We'll see if he can do something on the ground there. But I don't like the skill players on Washington. I don't. You got banged up Jordan Reed as your number one receiving target, basically. Philly's at home. They're a decent squad. They'll challenge Dallas for the NFC East. Even though, of course, the Cowboys are going to win the division. But Philly will win this game. I don't expect this to be much of a battle here. We'll take Philly in that one. Next, you got LA Rams at Carolina. I think the Rams are going to regress this year. When you lose a Super Bowl like the Rams did, being at their first time out, it has an effect on them, especially a quarterback. For Goff to have played that badly in the Super Bowl, in his first Super Bowl, that's something that could stick with him, and I think that ultimately is going to be a chain reaction that leads to the Rams to regress. Gurley, I think, is still banged up. I know they drafted some help. They got two capable backs behind them, but I expect I stayed away from the Rams this year in fantasy because I just think they're taking a step back, and again, especially the quarterback position. Think about this. There's only been 3 quarterbacks in NFL history who have started and lost their first Super Bowl, and then ever came back and won one. And only one guy's done it in the last 47 years, and that's John Elway. The other 2 guys were Len Dawson, of course, lost the first Super Bowl, won 3 years later with the Chiefs, and then Bob Greasy did it, lost the Cowboys in Super Bowl 6, came back with the 17-0 team and won. But other than those 2 guys, Elway's the only guy that's done that: lose their first Super Bowl, come back, start, and win a Super Bowl later in their career. So when you lose that first Super Bowl, it is something that can stick with you. And there's a lot of great players that have gone through the league that have lost their first Super Bowl and never came back. You want to go way back, you go back to Darryl LaMonica, Fran Tarkenton, Kenny Anderson, Boomer Esiason, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, Steve McNair, Cam Newton. These guys, these are great players, and listen, Newton's still playing, but none of those guys have got back and won the Super Bowl. And I think we might look at the same thing with Goff, where that's a guy where he looked like he was on the right trajectory, and then they throw up 3 points in the Super Bowl, and his career's not the same again. But I'm talking too much about the Rams. At Carolina, I'll take Carolina in this game. McCaffrey's a machine. I took him number 1 overall in one of my leagues. Really excited about him. Never had him on my team before. So I figure I'd get a piece of him this year. So I'm real excited for what he can do. They got some receivers that can make some noise, and I think they're due for a bounce back year. So I'll take Carolina upset, defending NFC champions start the season. And then you get Kansas City at Jacksonville, round out the early Sunday games. The Chiefs, I mean, listen, what can you say about the Chiefs? I mean, Pat Mahomes, has got a great career ahead of him. They got so many skilled players. The Jaguars will be better this year. They'll bounce back. Foles give them some stability at quarterback, but something's still not right there in Jacksonville. They're still missing a piece on offense to help them stay in these games. The Chiefs are going to score a ton of points in this one, so I'll take the Chiefs to round out your Sunday early games. Then we go to late games on Sunday. We get the Colts at the Chargers. Listen, Andrew Luck surprised everyone in retirement, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say it right now. Don't go to sleep on Jacoby Brissett. He's already played a full season 2 years ago when Luck was hurt. He played under Brady, and his rookie season wasn't that bad at all. He threw for 3,000 yards. With that on what was not a great Colts team. I mean, T.Y. Hilton was really their only playmaker on that team. They didn't have a running game. They didn't have a great defense, but he threw for 3,000 yards and he had 2-to-1 interception, 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. So I think Jacoby Brissett and the Colts are going to surprise some people this year because the Colts got a lot of pieces on offense. Their defense is good. They're a young team. Brissett's a mobile quarterback. And I think they're going to surprise some people. And a lot of times when you get these things that, they sneak up on you, like Luck suddenly retiring, everyone's like, oh, well, the Colts are done. Well, I wouldn't be surprised they rally around this team. And Brissett, I'm probably the only guy saying it, but watch out for Jacoby Brissett. I know I spent about $200 on him in one of my dynasty leagues, and everyone thought I was a jackass. But we'll see what happens. I like where the Colts are going. Now, the Chargers... the running backs guys stop with the holdout bullshit. I understand guys want to get paid, and they have a short shelf life. I get it, but it's like just you're not helping yourself and you're not helping your team. I mean, look at the Steelers last year. Le'Veon Bell sat out the whole year. He missed a whole year of football, missed a whole year of getting paid. And it was nothing but a distraction and basically ruined the Steelers' season before it even began. I mean, the Steelers were done in August last year because of that nonsense. Drama doesn't work anymore in the NFL. It hasn't worked for a long time. When you have drama, when you have guys who are not content, when you have locker room distractions, you can't overcome it in today's NFL. I mean, you got to go back to... you probably got to go back to the '95 Cowboys, the last time you had a drama-filled team that actually went on and won the Super Bowl. And that team was so good that they could overcome that stuff. But you can't do it anymore. And Melvin Gordon has. And now listen, Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson will do fine filling in, but they're missing their left tackle, Russell Okung. I don't know if he's out for the year, if he's out for 6 weeks, or whatever it is. Phil Rivers is getting older. Again, the Chargers should still be good offensively, but they're going to come out sloppy. And I'm going to take the Colts in an upset in this one. I think the Colts are going to play with some purpose this year. I think the Chargers are in disarray. Again, they'll be good enough offensively, and from a fantasy perspective, where they'll be an interesting team week to week. But I'm going to take the Colts to upset the Chargers in this game. Cincinnati at Seattle. Seahawks are good. I mean, they're just one of those teams that it's Russell Wilson and everybody else, but Pete Carroll slaps it together. They're in contention every year. Defensively, listen, they pick up Clowney. I mean, that's a big name guy that's going to make an impact right away. The Bengals are rebuilding. Dalton is what he is. Joe Mixon is what he is. I don't understand Joe Mixon going in the top 2 rounds. I know he gets volume, but the Bengals are just a team I want to stay away from for the most part. I mean, even A.J. Green making me nervous now. I mean, he might miss half the season. Tyler Boyd's really the only thing I could trust on the Bengals from a fantasy standpoint.
But they're just not a good team this year. In Seattle, they're in Seattle, and they'll go in and the Seahawks take care of business. Let's see. Then we get the Giants at Dallas. Listen, you know it's Tuesday night. You know, I keep getting alerts on my phone. Zeke very, very close to signing. Cowboys are so close. Elliott has signed his first name on the contract, waiting on last name. Like, I mean, just get the deal done already. Enough's enough. I mean, look, the Cowboys have such a window this year to go to the Super Bowl. It's ridiculous. They've got all the pieces in place: quarterback, running back, receiver, defense, schedule. I mean, have you looked at the Cowboys' schedule? The first 8 weeks. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're getting the Giants twice, you're getting the Redskins twice, you're getting the Dolphins, you're getting the Bills. I forget who else is on the schedule, but there's a lot of cupcakes to start the year, and if we could just take care of the Zeke business, listen, the Rams are going to regress. Drew Brees is getting older. I mean, who else in the NFC am I supposed to be afraid of? I mean, seriously, who else am I supposed to worry about? I mean, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Panthers. I mean, that's it. I mean, Green Bay. I don't know. I mean, none of these other teams scare me. With what Dallas can throw out there, as long as Zeke takes care of business. And listen, don't go to sleep on Tony Pollard either. I know he's only had a couple good preseason games, and you don't want to get too hyped up about a rookie like this. But I'll tell you what, he might be for real as just a guy who can spell Zeke. Because Jerry kind of gave away the plan here. Is like, I don't know that they're going to pound Zeke as much this year because they want him fresh down the stretch and for the playoffs. And with drafting Pollard, if Pollard can be that guy who can take carries away from Zeke and keep him fresh, they might have the guy to do that. And if Zeke is not giving up his body this year with 400 touches. And he's fresh for the stretch run in the playoffs. I mean, who's stopping us? That's all I'm saying. Who's stopping us? But Cowboys beat the Giants. I mean, Giants are a mess. I mean, I know people get excited about Daniel Jones, but I mean, come on. I mean, you're gonna throw Eli out there for one more year. You got nobody to throw to. I mean, Evan Ingram's good, but Sterling Shepard's a decent wide receiver too. But the Giants got nothing, and the Cowboys are going to take care of this game easy. You got Detroit at Arizona. I mean, this is a toss-up. I don't expect a lot from either one of these teams. Either one of these teams could go 8-8, or they could both go 3-13. I mean, not a lot of guys fantasy-wise to get excited about. Maybe Galladay, Kerryon Johnson on Detroit. Again, David Johnson's going in the top 5, and the Cardinals just aren't good enough. I know he's getting the volume, but you can't take. And the same thing with Saquon Barkley going number 1. I know these guys are getting the volume, and they're great players, but they're on bad teams, and I don't want a guy on a bad team. I want to draft guys that are volume guys, but are on decent teams that have a chance. Every week to have meaningful touches, and I just don't see the Giants or the Cardinals having those. So again, if you're drafting Saquon Barkley or David Johnson too high, I mean, good luck, but I'm not touching them. But this Detroit Arizona game, I mean, who cares really? I mean, I think that I'll take Detroit because I think I think Arizona people are a little too excited about Kyler Murray right away. I think he's going to have some growing pains this year. I mean, he could be a great player. Down the road, but I think Arizona comes out looks a little sloppy here, and Detroit will be not as sloppy enough to pull out a win. And then we get San Francisco at Tampa Bay. Here we go with 2 more teams. Like, what am I supposed to do with either one of these teams? At least from a fantasy perspective, you got some ball players here. Although, I mean, the 49ers, Kittle is solid. For 49ers, but if Garoppolo doesn't pan out, the rest of that team is in a lot of trouble, both from a competitive standpoint, from a fantasy standpoint. I mean, 49ers got 4 different receivers that maybe he's the guy. Pettis, Debo, Marquise Goodwin, somebody I'm forgetting, Jalen Hurd. I mean, either one of those guys could be the guy any week. But, good luck trying to figure out who that is. And even running backs, I mean, even though McKinnon's out, you still got Breida, you still got, what's-his-face, Tevin Coleman. I mean, there's just too many, maybe this guy might be good, but I can't trust any of those guys in fantasy other than Kittle. And as far as this game goes, I'll take Tampa at home because, Winston, I think, is due for a bounce-back season. Bruce Arians, might be able to rein in that team and get the most out of it. Again, I don't like either one of these teams, but I think Tampa will pull out this game here and get everybody's false hopes up. And then we go to Sunday night, which again would have been the Thursday night game if it wasn't the 100th anniversary. We're going to get New England, defending Super Bowl champions, playing the Steelers again. Steelers again will probably not come up big in a spot here, and New England wins the game. Again, at some point we're going to hear about Tom Brady's getting too old, this, that, and the other thing. Somebody will get hurt. This is the year for New England, and then fast forward, and look who's in the AFC Championship game, the New England Patriots again. Until Tom Brady falls over, New England's the team to beat. Now, that doesn't mean I can't root against them. It doesn't mean you can't root for the Chiefs or somebody else to go to the Super Bowl. But if I got to hear, more bullshit this year about how, dude, this is New England. They're beatable this year. They got no Gronk. Just shut up. Just stop. All right. I heard this shit last year. Everyone's like, New England. This is the year. They get beaten, and then what happened? They won the Super Bowl, and they let up 3 points in the Super Bowl. So again, New England will win this game because the Steelers. Now listen, they cut a lot of the drama out. Unfortunately, it was their 2 best players. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to get rid of the nonsense and start fresh. So I'm glad Pittsburgh finally cleaned out. Now they can start fresh, and we'll see if Juju, can handle the number 1 slot. I think he has a chance to. And listen, the Steelers, for a franchise that's known primarily for defense and running, the Steelers have churned out some great wide receivers year in and year out. I mean, you're going all the way back to Lynn Swann and John Stallworth. I mean, they have churned out some great receivers over the last 40 years, and Juju's the next one up. And don't go to sleep on James Washington. He could be the next Juju. But let's see what happens, because a lot of Juju's success was because he had Antonio Brown double coverage. So let's see if he can handle number 1 spot. I think he's capable, and Roethlisberger's solid, obviously a quarterback. James Conner, good game. I mean, again, the Steelers are going to be competitive. The division's tougher now because Cleveland's good, Baltimore's good, and so I don't expect the Steelers to be the same old Steelers, but and they're not going to win this game because they can never beat New England when it counts. So I'll take New England in this game. And then we get the Monday night doubleheader. We got Houston at New Orleans. I mean, that's talk about a dark horse Super Bowl preview possibly. Although, I don't know what Houston's got to do to get over the hump. Houston, listen, Houston's another team. They've got everything in place here. Okay, they've got the quarterback ready to explode. Again, I know they lose Lamar Miller, but with Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde, they'll be fine at running back. They've got great receivers. They've got a good defense. They're not in the most competitive division in the world. If the Texans, I'll tell you right now, if the Texans don't go to the AFC Championship this year, they got to fire what's-his-face, because they're just never going to get over the hump at this point. The Houston's got to stop with the first Saturday wildcard game. They've got to stop with that. They've got to take the next step this year. They've got to get to the AFC Championship game, or they need a change at the top because they got too much talent. Now the Saints, again, Breeze is getting older, but still got amazing talent around them. Kamara, obviously Michael Thomas. We'll see if Traquan Smith can do anything this year. Sean Payton's a great coach. This is a tough game. I'm gonna take Houston. I think New Orleans obviously still a little salty. They got ripped off in the NFC Championship game last year. I think some of that might linger over this year. Again, that's a tough loss to have, and then bounce back. Again, I mean, they'll be a solid team this year. The Saints. They should probably win the NFC South, but I'm going to take Houston in this game because this is it for Houston. They got to make something happen this year because they can't be satisfied with getting a wild card game, maybe going a divisional round and losing. Like they got to stop with that. So I'm gonna go with Houston this year. And then finally get Denver to Oakland. Here we go again. I mean, this is battle for third place possibly in the AFC West. Well, who knows? The Chargers might fall off the wagon this year. I don't know. We'll see. The Raiders will be interesting. They should put up points every week. But Antonio Brown. I mean, listen. Anything's on the table now with this guy. I mean, with his foot, and then the helmet, and just the guy. You thought the guy was crazy last year with the Steelers, and he's already off to a nutty start with the Raiders. Now again, maybe he makes Derek Carr a better quarterback again. Because Derek Carr had a great year 2015. I won one of my fantasy league championships with Derek Carr, and then the bottom fell out the last couple of years. So maybe he can get back to being a solid QB again. Raiders should score points. I like Josh Jacobs. I think he'll be effective running. Denver, I don't know. I mean, dealing with a ton of injuries. Philip Lindsay's the only guy I trust from a fantasy perspective. But Flacco's just there until Drew Lock can maybe step in there. I mean, again, the Raiders are now much better, but it's in Oakland. It's the last year in Oakland. They'll be fired up. So I think the Raiders will win that game. But again, these two teams are probably playing for third place in the AFC West. And there you go. So that's it. Week 1 ready to go, and then we'll see you guys on Sunday. Week 1 NFL.